need that over there. Okay, we are live. Now I'm just waiting for the message. Because it'll come in sooner or later, just so I can test volumes and what have you. And there we have it. So we just go to that site and make sure that we can hear what we're saying. Of course, as you can tell, well, I don't know if you can tell, throat's a little seized, but I'm not expecting to be on for a whole long time today. See what happens if we get people in the chat room. But there we go, we've got volume. There. Now, I figured I'd take a look at this from a slightly different angle. Okay. I've been watching I've been paying attention to what other people are going through. And the thing I found absolutely, well, I guess the best way to put it is I found things a little complicated. Now, before I get into it, do understand, I returned to this world, to this life, for one primary purpose, and that is to remind everybody in existence that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Okay. Unfortunately, what we're finding is the majority of people are walking down a very complicated path. And when put a message, forgot to hit send. Done that before. Now, I built myself as a spiritual guide. And the reason for that is that the tools I offer are the same tools I personally put to use. Okay. The philosophies of life that I talk about are the ones I personally live by. Now, there's a lot of spiritual guides out there that claim to be spiritual guides that literally seem to live their life by do what I tell you, not what I say. Do what I say, not what I do. Okay. Well, that was near a disaster. And I won't live that way. Now, have I made complaints about the way I've done things and still end up doing them? Certainly. Bad habits, as it turns out, are a royal pain in the neck to fix. Okay. So, what I talk about, I've been telling myself for the longest time, I have no idea how to market. This is a self-deprecating claim. I've helped a lot of people deal with it. Do I understand technology? Absolutely not. At this point, I really don't. I have a lot of struggles with it most of the time because it doesn't react the way everybody says it should. But the thing that we have to keep in mind as individuals is when you desire your life to change, you're the one that's going to have to put the effort into making it do so. You're the one that's going to have to get off your tail feathers and do something. Now, I look in the mirror and go, am I content with my life? And when I go, no, where is the one file that I've got here? Of course, can't get the mouse to do what I want. But that thing about technology, there's all sorts of neat little complications that may be involved there. I don't understand them all. Don't really care to understand them all. Because I would rather focus on the things I do comprehend and push limits on them to comprehend them more. Now, I'm just scrolling down this list I did for getting rid of clutter. Okay. The total list, when I go right to the bottom, is 353 items. In the last 4 days, I have cleared off 87 of them. And I've got a bunch set to clear today. But I tell you, take a look in the mirror and go, are you content with your life? If your life is running smoothly, absolutely. If you've got a plan, and this is where you come in. Changing the direction this world is going in is not going to happen overnight. One person's not going to do it. Okay, but the reason I'm doing this is because of twofold. One, it helps me stay focused, which I know is kind of a selfish idea, a selfish issue. Where you come in, if I can point out the stumbling blocks I've gone through, okay, then possibly, just possibly, you can pick up a tidbit of information that can help you avoid the same pitfall. Basically, if you're walking down a hallway and you cannot see, and you can't see what's in the hallway, okay, and there's a chair there, the odds are you're going to trip over it, okay. All I'm striving to do is turn the lights on, okay. So you take a look in the mirror. Now, somebody made a comment the other day, and I am doing my best to upgrade my outlook on life, upgrade the way my life is going. Okay, somebody made a comment on the live feed the other day that I had forgotten to comb my hair before I came on. Now, I do not claim to be a fashion mogul or anything like that. I figure if I'm dressed and the clothes fit and aren't full of holes, for me personally, I'm quite content with it. Okay, so I look in the mirror and go, okay, I don't like, I prefer seeing combed hair. So does it not, if I'm going to prefer it, okay, if I'm going to say that's what I prefer seeing, then does it not make sense? If you prefer seeing people with combed hair, lead by example. Okay, I will be upgrading my wardrobe as soon as I can. I pushed my limits way to the end. I could go and get the information. I'm not that interested in it. I wrote down how close to the end I had actually arrived, and I swore I will not drop below that again. So now that's where my focus will be. And the thing that I found out is people have asked me all kinds of questions. They'll go, how do I deal with this? So I look at it and go, okay, here's the best way. Now, to be clear, okay, yes, I am a working psychic. But to be clear, and this is going to upset some people, 80 to 85% of what I do, okay, I can explain. And 80 to 85, I can explain. It's common sense. It's life experience. Now, let's face it, I've been doing this work since I was 10. Okay. Now, with that in mind, people ask me, how do you deal with this? I'm having trouble. I don't know how to deal with it. Can somebody explain it? What I find is I'll explain it and get told, no, you're absolutely wrong. Now, the thing that you have to ask yourself, if you're asking somebody for help and you're going, I don't know how to deal with this. If somebody gives you an offer, gives you an idea, if you don't know how to do something, then telling the person you asked, they're wrong, is absolutely bizarre. Like, there's another word for it, but I'm trying to be polite here. Okay. The ironic part is, it usually isn't until I get mad about something locally, something I'm dealing with. It's usually not until I get mad that people seem to pay attention. I don't understand why. Malu, glad you could join us. The reality of it is, if you're asking for help, absolutely listen to the person, but do not turn around and tell them that they're wrong. If you've not figured out how to do it yourself, the odds are they've got an idea that you haven't tried, okay, that you haven't experienced. Now, the reality from my end, and this is what set me off with one person in particular, I stated an opinion and they told me your opinion is wrong. Well, newsflash, there is no way that an opinion can be wrong. The facts that you're basing, or the information that you're basing your opinion on, can certainly be wrong. They can be incomplete. They can be misguided. Okay, but they themselves cannot be wrong. Okay, and you've got to look at it this way. If you've got an opinion, okay, and you're stating your opinion, how do you feel when somebody tells you your opinion is wrong? Okay, you look in the mirror. Now, the reality is, I mentioned my hair. I'm looking in the screen right now, and yeah, I have not shaved, and I will do that from time to time. where I just won't bother. But understand, from my standpoint, it's simple. It doesn't bother me having it not completely tightly shaved. I mean, I did it one day. I was trying to shave with an electric razor. Okay, and my hand was shaking so badly, I slit my throat with an electric razor, all the way from here down to here. Missed the carotid, missed the artery. Thank heavens. Didn't miss the veins. Absolutely decimated the shirt. Which, by the way, is why I will not use a safety razor. I certainly won't use a straight razor. You know, when you can tear your throat out with an electric one, and in all fairness, when it spasmed, the razor itself hit the wall so hard it shattered in three. Now, when you're not content with the way your life is going, absolutely talk to the people around you. The reality behind it is I'm putting in the information I've got. I'm not going to live long enough to pass it all on. So I'm putting it in bits and pieces in written works. Okay. And I do at this point have a webpage. Okay. rkeithandrews.com. Okay. And yeah, I'm just playing, I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you there, Malo. What Malo has said is it's hard to ask for help, but I have no problem asking a question. My opinion is mine. Walk my shoes. No one can say your opinion is wrong. They can say facts and ask your opinion again and see. Well, in all fairness, I don't honestly understand what IFF means. Oh, I see. It's a typo. My apologies. I do those all the time. Your opinion and again, and see if they have influenced you. Absolutely. This is one of the reasons I don't read things that I'm writing. Okay, I've got all kinds of things I've written. Right, and I do my best to go over it, but when I'm speaking, I will stumble over it regularly. When I'm typing, I absolutely do. But yeah, there are a lot of people I look at and figure, and they have influenced me either for good or for bad. I remember a young louse that I took this idea of if you've never walked in their shoes. My father used to tell me, if you've never walked in somebody's shoes, you cannot assess what their life looks like. Well, I took it a little stupidly literal. Okay, when I was a lot younger, when I was 23, yeah, I'd have been 23. I walked into a bar. At the time, yes, I would have a drink or two, but never in excess. I walked into a bar, and there was a young lass there working. That what I got off her, and I have no idea if she asked, was, I've got a severe drug and alcohol problem. I want out. So I did the only thing logical, in my eyes. Dumb move. I dove in with both feet. Ended up drinking a 26er a night and quit counting lines at 6. I'm not even going to try and calculate how much weed I went through or how much beer. Okay, suffice it to say, for the time I was with her, and this will give you an idea how much I worked out the street value years ago. Now, I was only with her, helping her for 10 months. Okay, but in that 10 months, street value I went through in excess of $18,000 in drugs and alcohol. Okay, and I only made at that time about 20. Okay. So, I mean, when you think about it, I walked in her shoes. We got her out of it. And the day we got her out, okay, and the reason I say we is she's the one that put the effort into stopping herself. She just needed guidance. And so, I walked in those shoes, went, nope, not for me. I've already walked the path of going to church on a weekly basis. At this point, I've come to some understandings. Okay, do I go to church? Not at all. Okay, Heck, in all fairness, the closest thing I get to going to a church at this point is walking down the sidewalk in front of it. But again, I've walked there. And the thing you have to look at is if you're not content, it's up to you to make the changes. I do not myself, I am not a fighter. I am a pacifist in all fairness. And yet there's one young lass, okay, and they call her in the circuit, they call her Sweet Maria. Now, her I will support. I will help her get there. I don't agree with the MMA. Okay, I saw this happen before. They called it the gladiatorial pit in Rome. I saw the same path. And I know by supporting her, she's walking and they are making money off of her. The point being, she has picked a goal and she is putting the effort into it and doing everything she can, making the necessary sacrifices to be able to get to it. And I don't mean the old-fashioned sacrifices, kill your firstborn so the weather stops. Okay, that just doesn't work all that well. So what I'm looking at is this. If you're not content with your life, if you've got a major goal in life, or even a minor one, okay, like I've got stuff around my house right now, but I'm emptying my storage unit again, only this time I'm bringing the stuff home and I'm putting it where it belongs. It's not just being left cluttered and left lying around. Okay. And again, this is a question of if you're not content, you're the one that's going to have to make the changes. You're the one that's going to have to do the effort. Do not, if you're looking at somebody and going, that's something I don't like. Okay. Ask yourself this. And I had to ask somebody this one day. I was walking down the street with them. And they looked in the mirror. I can understand that. Malu's just written, downstairs is organized. Don't mention the upstairs. That's like most of my office is quite clearly, is quite functionally organized. It's still got stuff I'm going through. Because I've been going through, again, going all the way through the files, sorting through them. I've been throwing files out from 1999. Might give you an idea how much I procrastinate. Okay, the problem with putting stuff away to get it out of your way is you forget about it. Because it's not in the way. But you take a look at where things are sitting. Okay. And the one person I was talking to, I was walking down the street with them, and they saw somebody with a rooster cut, with a spiked haircut. And I kid you not, their hair was standing up in the air, at least 1.5 feet. Okay, in solid spikes. Now, would I ever wear hair like that myself? No, not ever. Okay, but the person I was with looked into them and went, oh, that person, that's absolutely disgusting. That person shouldn't wear hair like that. And I looked at them, I said, and they made a couple of derogatory comments about it. I looked at them and I says, okay, let me ask you this. Are you upset because that person has the courage to wear that hairstyle? Or are you upset because you don't? Okay, and it's the same thing with tattoos. Okay, I personally would never put a tattoo on me, or for that matter, on anybody else. Okay, and I have told my kids, I told both my kids, I will not support you on the idea of getting a tattoo before you're 18. I just won't. Okay, after that, a tattoo or a piercing. Okay, because this is a life-changing event. It's something you cannot alter. Once you've done it, you can't undo it. Right? Like I said, if you decide to get a tattoo afterwards, that's your call. Do the research, get what you want done. Doesn't matter. If you're not causing a problem deliberately for somebody else, okay, if you're not hurting other people, the importance is not what you're wearing. Okay, contrary to what one religious individual told me when they said, I would have invited you to our church, to our temple, had you been dressed better. Well, sorry, whoever you believe is God, rest assured they don't care what you're wearing. Okay, they don't care at all. Okay, but the thing is, from my standpoint, am I going to upgrade my wardrobe? Am I going to neaten myself up? Yes. But like I told my other half, I'm doing it for me. When you take a look in the mirror, I will tell you, if your house is all cluttered, if everything is disorganized, you will feel worse than if it is organized. Now, you don't have to believe me for that. Okay, give it a shot and experience it yourself. When you're working at your desk, working on your finances, ask yourself, is it easier to work on them if you can see what you're doing? Or is it easier? Sorry, hiccups. Live feed, what do you get? Does it work better with boxes all around you? Or does it feel more viable with the place organized? Don't take my word for it. If you haven't done it, give it a shot. I do feel you will find that it is easier to maneuver. Okay. I found the same thing in my bedroom. I used to have boxes all over the place. Didn't sleep at all. Currently, I've still got a few boxes I'm trying to move, but that's because that itself it's in transition. I know where the boxes are going. I just have to get them there. And this is one of the things I'll be dealing with today, is getting that floor cleared. Because like I said, I just brought stuff home out of storage. I'm shutting down my storage unit because it's a $200 bill that I don't require. It really is absolutely imperative you look in the mirror. When you're everybody will pass judgment on other people. You have your opinions, you have your likes, you have your dislikes. There's nothing wrong with this. Matter of fact, my father used to say, if everybody were the same, this would be a very boring place. Okay, so you absolutely have freedom of choice. You have the freedom to do what you desire. What you don't have freedom of is you don't have the freedom from consequence. Okay, and you must remember, I only follow 3 laws. Okay, be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Okay. Now, the reason I do that is because when you take a look at the laws you follow, whether they're family, religious, spiritual, support, doesn't matter. Take a look at whatever guidelines. Compare them to those 3. And I do feel you will find they all fit inside the 3 I follow. Am I going to tell you my way is the best? No, just my way is my way. Okay, what I will tell you is, as a spiritual guide, finding me is not that hard. Okay, dropping me a line at any one of the contact points below is not really that difficult. If you're looking for the books I've got, they're both listed under this video and on my website. I don't hide. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you, give me all your money. Give me all your money and let's go out in the middle of the bush, way out in the middle of nowhere in a enclosed compound. And I got a lot of guns to protect us because I'm here to lead you to a better way. I'll tell you right now, I got nothing against guns. Nothing at all against guns. Okay, because guns aren't the problem any more than vehicles are a problem. Okay, where it comes to being a weapon. Think about it. A gun is what? A pound? A vehicle is like half a ton or so. The vehicle is a more deadly weapon than a gun is in some ways. Okay, gun can get to smaller people if it is in the hands of somebody that is being, shall we say, self-serving. There was another word I was going to use. Not a good one. You have to look in the mirror. Take a look at yourself. Are you living the values you're talking about? Okay. I've got to go through my stuff over the next 2 days here. I'll know what I brought in. I will know what I brought in over the course of last month. Now, I'm going to be surprised if I actually made the 38 I was aiming at. I'm going to be absolutely amazed. Matter of fact, I was kind of shocked I made it the month before. But I have determined that once I get past the 2,500, well, 30, actually, I worked it out with the car and all the adjustments I've made. I require $3,200 a month to run my house. Okay, so everything over that, when I start at the 3,200 mark, even if I don't make the 38, 10% of whatever I make over the 32, I will be using to pay somebody to pay somebody's dinner, to buy somebody food, to help somebody out. That's what I'm going to be doing with the charity. This is something, and the reason I'm telling you is not to make me sound better than you are. This is just my path. Okay. Now I do agree with the church's idea of 10%. Okay, but that's 10% of your net profit. In other words, cover your own bills first, then look at the 10%. And in any event, I will not support the idea of giving to a church, because I'm looking at the number of churches out there and the number of things they claim to do with the money, and they're not. This is just simple. Okay. The best charity that I've ever seen, and I forget which one it was, 30% of what you give them goes to the actual charity. Okay. Now, most of them are drastically smaller than that. In my case, the charity I work with, the charity that I'm working with, and I'm looking into the idea of how do I go about setting it up so that, so I can help more people. Okay. And I don't know how to do that yet. One thing I do know is in no way will I be ever handing out tax receipts, or going, here's a break for the money. The reality is that the admin fee for the admin cost of handing the money out and what have you will be coming out of my pocket, out of my business's pocket, out of, my end. It will not come out of the charity money. Okay, this is an absolute certainty. And I just won't do it. Because if you're trying to give to charity, that money has to go. And again, I look in the mirror and go, this is my opinion. There's no way I'm going to turn around and change that side of it. It's like the reason I don't give to a charity, that I won't give to the church, I won't give money. Okay, not to those, because most of it goes to admin fees, not to the people. When I turn around and go, I'm buying that person's meal or whatever. Okay, that will come. That will be 100 out of the 100% out of the. Okay, let's try that one thought at a time. That will come out of that 10% that I'm working with. Okay, does this make it the only way? Absolutely not. Does it make charities and nonprofit organizations a bad thing? No. But the reality of it is, for me, it goes against my belief. Okay. Will I ever open a nonprofit organization? No. And here's why. Okay. In my eyes, the whole reality of it is this. If you're saying nonprofit, you're going into this business, you're opening the door not to make money. Quite frankly, if you're not making it, unless you're holding an absolute steady bin on it, you're going to be losing money. Okay. Now, I just don't agree with it. If I'm going into a business, I'm going in to make money. Now, I do encourage you to follow the tools I work with and the philosophies of life that I live by. I absolutely encourage you to follow, because the ones I'm seeing out there that people are following seem to be causing some pretty severe problems. Okay. Now, it's a scientifically proven fact. Negative energy kills plants. Okay. This is, now you look up the science, look up the tests that they've already done, that the scientists have already done. Or do the test yourself. Okay. What the scientists did was they took 3 rooms of plants. In one room, they set them all up so they were all getting the same lighting, the same water, the same plants, same fertilization. You get the picture. All 3 rooms were the same. One room they left completely alone, except for dealing with what they had to. The second room, they had people in there. They had people in there talking nicely to the plants, touching them, touching the ones that were safe to touch, giving them contact, giving them attention, having calm, uplifting communication between the people in the room. The plants grew like wildfire. Okay, way beyond what the plants were just left to handle the control room, if you will. The other room, they turned around and they said, and they had people in there screaming, playing loud, angry music, insulting the plants. Now, yeah, that sounds a little odd, but this is what they did. You can do the same thing yourself. What happened was the plants up and died. Okay, they withered and died. Bad news, Earth is a living organism itself. It is essentially, by human definition, it is a plant. Look around the world. Are you putting out a whole pile of negative energy yourself? Okay, you look around the world. Lakes are drying up. Rivers are drying up. Plant crops are withering. People are getting madder and madder and madder. Are you contributing to this by propagating the same negative energy to other people? Okay, if that is the case, then you have a problem. You're part of it. Okay. It's time to look in the mirror and take responsibility for your own actions, for your own decisions. Okay, you have to look in the mirror and go, is what I'm doing creating a problem? Now, I've taken a look at people and people's weight and what have you. I do not find it personally attractive. Now, the fact that I do not find it personally attractive is exactly the reason why I've been focusing on dropping my own weight. Okay, I don't find it attractive. Lead by example. If you're not content with something, do not go down that same path. If you don't like being yelled at, don't yell at the people around you. If you don't like being lied to, don't lie to people. Here's the funny thing about lying. Okay, here's what the punishment is for liars. And we'll just scrap the whole heaven and hell thing. Here's your current time problem with lying. Okay, liars, it's not that nobody will believe you. That is a problem, but that's not the big punishment. It's not that other people won't believe you. But if you're lying to everybody else, even if you're lying to everybody else about you, it doesn't matter. If you're lying, you will find you stop believing other people at all. Okay, so the punishment for lying is that you end up not believing anybody else. Okay, experience is what has brought every single individual to where you are right now. Okay, experience, whether that is physical, whether it's because you've been listening to people tell you the same thing. It was proven a long time ago. Okay, if you're told you're an idiot long enough, you'll believe you're an idiot. Now, the mistake I made myself, and again, this boils down to look at the mirror. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, what are you doing that's creating a problem? For the longest time, I told people, I remember names for that long, for just a split second. And, I did. A name would come in and go out right off the bat. But the moment I started turning around, the moment I said, no, my memory is getting stronger. Not my memory is the best. Just it's getting stronger. My memory for names is growing. Since I did that, I can remember names a lot more efficiently than I ever did. And again, it really boils down to brainwashing. Okay, and since I don't have it there, You know, it boils down to brainwashing, to looking in the mirror and going, this is what I feel. Hey, now there's a novel idea. I'm just looking at this this bar, and the wood panel up here, and it just dawned on me. And I'm not going to take that. I just don't have the sunlight to do it, and I don't know if I could do it well enough anyway. So I'm going to simply put another sign up there, because that's the board that on the back of it says, I am worth it. An absolute reminder that you yourself are worth the effort to straighten things out, but you're the one that's going to have to do the work. Okay. So that's one of these neat little things that I'm going to take a look at. What I'll do is I'll end up attaching it in all likelihood on just a sheet of paper for the time being until I can get it done properly. Just making a note for myself here to make certain that I get that done. Just, to put that on that board up there. So when I come back tomorrow, that sign will be up there. Okay. There we go. I will do that as soon as I get off and get done this video. Okay. Now, I don't know. I aimed for the half hour, but the fact that I'm here, okay, and I've got a little time, I'm not going anywhere yet. With that in mind, I've got a number of things I've got on the go. But the reality is, when you're looking at changing your life, you're the one that's going to have to do the work. You're the one that's going to have to start asking questions. Now, from my standpoint, do I see myself as a Christian? Absolutely. Do I believe in God? Do I believe in Christ? Absolutely. Do I believe in what it says in the Bible anymore? The messages in there are good, but everything I've found out about them, about the writing of the Bible, and I don't care it really doesn't matter which religion. Okay. They are interpretations, and they've been modified so heavily. Here's a trick for you. Okay. And we do this in kindergarten. Okay. Get a line of people, and you can do it even with a small group, anything more than 3 people, okay, will accommodate this, to limited degrees. The longer the line of people involved, the better off you are. And you can do this in a matter of minutes. Okay. Write a sentence down. Doesn't matter what the sentence is. Okay. Some people used to call this game the broken telephone game. Some of you may remember it. We used to play it in school. Doesn't matter what the sentence. Okay. Can be as simple a sentence as you desire, but make it a proper sentence. Okay. Write the sentence down. Do not show anybody. Okay. And this is extremely important, not only in life, but in business. Okay. Write the sentence down, and then you take that sentence. Don't show anybody what you wrote. Whisper in the person's ear, in the person next to you. Whisper in their ear your message. Okay. Now, you can do this either standing in line where you whisper, or you can take the person into another room and go and tell them out of earshot from the second person. And then once they get the message, they swap off and they tell the next person in line. You will be absolutely amazed in all likelihood at the difference in the final message as compared to the one that it started with. Don't take my word for it. Test it. Okay, again, if you haven't used this tool, and especially if you have your own company, call a staff meeting and pull this stunt. Okay, pull this little exercise. It's simple. It may be classified as childish, but sad news, real bad news. I've called people this before and got absolutely lambasted for it. You're all children. Okay, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you had a mother and a father, and you'll notice one male, one female. Those are the only two genders involved. Okay. If you had a mother and a father, whether you were born by physical interaction or in a test tube, it doesn't make any difference. You still have a mother and a father. That means you're a child. Okay. So play this childish game in any, no matter whether you're running a house or you're running a business, it doesn't matter. Take a look, or even amongst friends, give it a test. Okay, don't just take my word for it that it works. Make the effort to experience it. And again, if you haven't done this, don't say it won't work. Okay, because you really don't know. Now, there are times when somebody says, don't do that, it's a bad idea. Okay, I will tell you, I tried that once. Somebody told me that trying something was a really good idea. Okay, and I tried, you'll love this one, probably not. I've mentioned it before. When I was a lot younger, my cousin used to swear by this as a food concoction. Okay, and she literally used to eat ketchup and ice cream. She'd pour ketchup on her vanilla ice cream every time she had it. And she just loved it. I tried it once. I'm telling you, from my standpoint, really, really bad idea. Okay, absolutely terrible idea, in my opinion. But with that in mind, I finally I looked at it and went, never again. There are times when doing something because everybody tells you it's a right idea, a good idea, or that it tastes well, doesn't necessarily work that way. Okay, and this is why I encourage you to actually take a look at the whole 9 yards. Okay, if you haven't done it, okay, and it's safe to do. It does take common sense here. Okay, it really does. There have been some challenges. I'm sure that you guys have heard of this stupid thing called the Tide Pod Challenge. Okay, from a few years back. Now, here's the stupid part. I've got nothing against people that come up with these ideas. I have a serious question around the people that follow them. Okay, use your common sense. And I know that's a rarity in today's world. But you have to look in the mirror and ask yourself, do I have any actual functional control over this? I've heard people say, if something is natural, it's good for you. Bad idea. Arsenic is natural. Okay, and again, don't take my word. Actually, in this case, just take my word for it. Arsenic is natural. Arsenic is also poisonous. Okay, and therefore, having a lot of it is a bad idea. Yes, it's natural, but it will still kill you. Okay, this is where common sense comes in. Your education, which does not mean necessarily going through school. Okay, it means doing the research, looking into it, talking to people. There's that funny 4-letter word, communication. Okay, it seems to have gone the way of the dodo bird. These funny little things here, okay, seem to have gone the way they have driven communication out the window. I've seen people sitting in restaurants where they will sit there talking on their phone or texting. Amazingly enough, they will text each other. Okay, do not get me wrong. A cell phone is a necessity. In today's world, it really is. But actual communication is far more important. Okay, now from that standpoint, you have to look in the mirror. And again, if you're content with you, that is where things start. In my case, I am not content with my wardrobe. So, as money turns itself around, because I ran myself down so far that I cannot afford to do a thing. Fortunately, my rent's in the bank. My food is in the house. So, fortunately, I'm fine. Okay. And I will be fine. I mean, utilities, because of trying to help other people. Okay. because of trying to help other people, what I did was I did exactly what I told you not to do. And this is why I said, I'm not perfect. Okay. I'm absolutely not perfect. But I overextended myself, and at this point, I can't do anything. Okay. Until tomorrow when I get paid. Now, for all I know, I may end up with money in today that I can work with. And we will find checking right now just to see. Let's see if we delete that. Okay, and we close that off. Okay, at this point, I don't have the fun and the money to do what I usually do. I tried cooking pork chops yesterday, and this is why I say I am not good where it comes to cooking. And the reason I say that is because I can't track time, and I literally have tried. That just doesn't connect. And I have a pretty severe problem where it comes to spatial recognition, which begs the question of how in tarnation I managed to have driven for the last 25 years. No, way more than that. 40 years I've been driving. Okay. And in the last 25 years, I haven't been in an accident. Which, when you have a problem with spatial recognition, it's an interesting thing that I'm actually able to drive safely. But this is why I look at people and go, look, if you're striving to change directions, you're going to have to do the work. Now, I got asked, and somebody asked a question on the internet. They were in one of the feeds that I get on Facebook. They asked a question about how to stop something from happening. So I gave them an answer, and I got told to mind my own business. Is really the way I took it. Whether it was intended that way, I don't know. But again, if you're going to ask a question, absolutely listen to the answer. If you haven't tried it, if you haven't looked at it from that angle, do so. Don't just take my word for it. Okay, I'm sure you've run into a problem where somebody's asked you a question and either they've totally ignored you or they've cut you off. Okay, and told you flat out you're wrong. I don't understand this. Here's a question. Here's the answer. No, you're wrong. Well, if you don't know the answer, then you don't know the answer you're being given is wrong in all likelihood. Now, there may be an answer that is given that stands out as absolutely blatantly obvious. Okay, but it's up to you to make the changes. And it's time to really look in the mirror. Okay, I'm looking in the mirror going, I'm not content with the way my house is laid out. I'm not content with my wardrobe. So I'm going to take people's input. And like I said, a couple of weeks ago, somebody made the comment that I had forgotten to comb my hair on before I came on live. Did I take any offense to it? No, actually, I looked at it and went, good point. If I'm going to tell people that being neat and tidy, is important, it will affect the way people look at you, then it's only fair that I modify what I'm doing to lead by example. Okay. And the reality of it is, from your standpoint, you've got to do the same thing. When people start doing so as a unit, where individuals start doing so, this is going to take time. It has taken people literally thousands of years to teach and to brainwash themselves into the current state. Now, people are coming up with new and exciting ways of separating themselves from other people. Bad news: reproduction is facilitated by only two genders, not by who you is not brought about by what you identify as. Okay, it really isn't. Who you call God, who you call the Creator, doesn't have any bearing on what they are. Shakespeare said it best. Where are we here? Good morning, Ange. How you doing? Glad you could join us. Who you identify, William Shakespeare said it best when he said, a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Okay. A male by any name is going to be male. Okay. No matter what color you see. Bear in mind, when I was growing up, I was colorblind. I only saw 2 colors. Well, technically, I saw 4. I saw black. I saw white. I saw one specific shade of gray. All right, I saw one specific shade of red and one very specific shade of green. Now, at the time I was learning to drive, fortunately, all of the traffic lights were all the same color. They were all the same shade. I lucked out, I could see them. Okay, and the rest of it was all gray. So the only time I ever actually saw a white person was if I saw an albino. And the only time I actually saw a black person was if I saw somebody that was absolutely midnight black, what I came to call Numenorian. Okay, which is a long ago term. Okay, so when we start looking at color, this is one of the reasons why people go, "What's your favorite color?" Well, mine is simple. It's gray. Okay, of course, it was also the only color I had, so kind of stands to reason I took a liking to it. But I do know how bland that is for most people. And again, when you're looking at yourself, okay, and this applies to no matter what race you are. If you're not content with you, you're going to have a hard time being content with other people. Okay, it does carry over that way. Again, don't take my word for it, as it were. Okay. I am looking for something and not finding one. There we are. Don't just take my word for it. I will not sit here and tell you you're wrong for your opinion. You're more than welcome to your opinion. Where I run into a snag with many people is them coming out and going, my opinion is the only right one. Okay. I'm not the only one that has answers. But I will tell you, I'm the only one that I can guarantee will not lie to you to make you feel better. Am I outspoken? Am I opinionated? Am I a lot of negative things? Certainly. But I can honestly sit here and tell you I make literally every single person I meet. I will do my best to make them happy. Some people I make happy by showing up. Most of them I make happy by leaving, which may explain why I don't have as big a following as some people would think is viable. I mean, right now, let's just see what I've got. I know I'm having an interesting situation here. Yeah, right now I've got 295 subscribers. Okay. So I'm having trouble breaking that 300 mark. But again, if you like the video, absolutely do give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel. Okay, I've got the same barrier problem where it comes to dropping below 200 pounds in weight. Okay, I've been hovering between 210 and 200 for the last 3 or 4 months. Okay, because I haven't been able to bring it underneath that. I haven't dropped those last couple of pounds. And I've already got a goal that I'm looking at the mirror going, I desire to break 200 before the end of the year. Okay, I have taken a look at my finances and gone, here's where I'm sitting, but I desire it to climb from here on. I've dropped as far as I possibly can, without creating a major problem for myself. And again, this boils down to, I talk about the tools that I personally put to use. So, Ange, I take it this means, as everybody around here seems to think, you're now in tomorrow. The reality is, in my eyes, you're still in today. Where you are is still today. And this is something people don't, I don't mind the colloquially, okay, scrap the word, it ain't going to come out. I look at the whole idea of looking to tomorrow and seeing what happens, but it doesn't matter in one sense, because there's an old saying I learned years ago. Today, tomorrow, and yesterday are the same time, and here's why. Today is the tomorrow you talked about yesterday, and today is also the yesterday you will talk about tomorrow, making today, tomorrow, and yesterday all the same time. Now, I've looked in the mirror, I've said, okay, this is what I'm content with, this is what I'm not content with. 353 different shelves and what have you to clear out of the way, okay, to get the junk off. I went out, I cleared off this shelf, and now what I've got is the inventory that was in storage is now in my house. I've still got to put a couple of it up. But I looked at it and went, I'm not content with the way that my life is going. It has to change gears. But I'm the only one that can do it. I can certainly ask for input. Okay. But when you're asking somebody for help, like I get people calling me, and I don't mind getting the same question. If you're making the effort to alter what's going on with your life. Okay. I was talking to somebody in the restaurant I go to just the other day, and they posed a problem. They were having trouble stopping drinking. Okay. So I gave them a tool that would stop them drinking without the withdrawals. And I know that's one heck of a claim, but I don't call it a claim anymore. I've seen too many people do it where it's worked. When we look at alcoholism, people say, there is a belief structure. Good morning, Robert. How you doing? Glad you could join us. There's a belief structure that says, once you're an alcoholic, you're always an alcoholic. You're condemned to be an alcoholic for the rest of your life. This is patently false. Okay, I'm living proof of it. Now, I'm an anomaly in many ways, but the reason I say I'm living proof is I came up with a method that does work, but it's up to you to put it to work. Okay, it's based in scientific fact. It's not that I went to university to study it. It's something. Well, that's good, and that's excellent. I'm going to show you something here. If you've got video, okay, Robert, if you've got video, which I presume you do, okay, whichever finger it is, hold your finger out, just isolate it. Take your other hand, and you don't have to grab onto the finger. Just put your hand around it, just like this, okay? Concentrate on one word. Okay, that word is heal. That's it. You don't have to know the entire system as to what's wrong. That it's damaged. Okay, but if you take your finger, isolate it, put your hand just like that, just close to it. Concentrate on the energy wrapping around that hand. Visualize it. Call it your imagination, if you will. It doesn't matter. Okay, imagination is the key to healing. You wrap your hand near it like that. Okay, and you concentrate on the word healing. You will accelerate the healing. Okay, I know this because when I see this, and I don't know if you can see it, I've got a scar right there. Okay, I doubt you can see it, but it's that long. I snapped my arm to the point, I snapped my arm to the point that it had to be bolted. By taking my hand, I can't show you that now. There we go. By just putting my hand like this and focusing on that word, okay, up and down, I just simply moving it over the damaged area. Now, did I go to the doctor to get them to bolt it back into place? You bet. The answer to your question there, Ange is just asking, do you send out healing to others? The answer to that is yes. Okay. And the reality is everybody's got the ability in their own hands. Okay. And I like the way it was done, but anyway, I wrapped my hand around it like that. I wasn't touching it. Okay. I mean, the thing was snapped. Right. Now, I broke it at approximately 7 in the morning on March 3rd of 04. Okay. On March 12th of 04, I went back to the hospital to get the bandage from the operation changed. I'd already healed the bone completely. Okay, to the point they never did cast it. They put a brace on it, and that was it. Okay. Does this work? The answer is yes. Okay. The one thing I will warn you about, Ange, do I send out healing? You bet. Okay. Do I guarantee it will work? Not a prayer. Okay. The only thing I will ever guarantee to anybody is I won't lie to you to make you feel better. Okay. I like this shirt that I saw that says, the shirt says, you know that thing that everybody seems to have in their head that says, I shouldn't change, I shouldn't say that. Well, I don't seem to have one of those. Okay. I seem to have this interesting little problem. Yeah, and that's, you see, part of the problem with remote healing is if the person does not believe that it's going to work, you can virtually guarantee it won't. Yeah, no filter at all. And unfortunately, it's gotten me into trouble because, they say, the other side of that is I've got no filter and I've become rather, to say the least, sarcastic when I'm dealing with people that are annoying me. Okay. Like, I remember standing in Tim Hortons, which is a coffee shop. It's a coffee company up here in Canada. Okay, you've probably seen ads for it. Right. I'm standing in the line, and the cashier was doing everything right. She was handling the customer properly. But you got to understand, she's standing right here. And over on the left, when you're looking at her, that's where the hot chocolate machine was over there. So she takes this woman's order, and she says, okay, takes the money, gets it all set. She said, I'm just going to step around the corner to grab your hot chocolate. This is where the machine is around the corner of the counter. Okay. The woman looks at her and goes, what, you're going around the corner so you can spit in my hot chocolate? And I'm standing right behind this woman while my mouth went into gear. And I looked at the woman and I says, around here, they don't tend to do that. But in your case, I'm certain we can make an exception. Now, not a polite response, but I mean, like I said, I don't have a filter. And you look in the mirror, is a filter useful? Absolutely. But it does have a tendency of getting in the way of making what you're saying. I was told when I was growing up, when I was a lot younger, I was told by a young lass. She looks at me and she says, you've got to learn tact. And I looked at her really confused. I went, tact? She goes, yeah, the ability to tell someone where to go and make them look happy to be on their way. Okay, these people are just dense. Told them I'm not going to be talking to them for a month or so. They phone me once a day looking for information. I'm just not talking to them now. But she says, yeah, the ability to tell somebody where to go and make them look forward to the trip. I said, I've got one problem with that philosophy. If I'm mad enough to tell you where to go, why do I care if you look forward to the trip? And again, this is not necessarily the best way to do things, but it is the way I do them. Okay. I applaud people that have more tact than I do, that have more diplomacy than I do. One of the reasons I did try politics, by the way. I got involved in a political arena around a local park. And I'll tell you, it turned out to be a waste of time because they went completely against the charter. And my telling people they were going against the charter didn't make one iota of difference. Okay. I don't lie well enough to make things sound good. Okay. Well, that's not necessarily a correct statement. Okay, when you think about writing, now I've got 7 books in print, all of which can be ordered directly through me. Okay, but really, when you look at science fiction novels, you're looking at something that is made up. You're looking at essentially a literary lie. Okay, the self-help books are built on truth. They are built on methods that I personally have used, personally handed over to other people that have worked. Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. No, Robert's just written in. I have more tick and toe than I have tack, which is very true. Okay, which is probably why you lose the game, because you got to have tick, tack, and toe. You know, but the reality is, being politically correct really boils down to finding a polite way to tell somebody to do where they can go. And I run into a problem with that. Hate that. Sneeze that you can't control and that doesn't happen. But that's what we get for live feed. Am I the most eloquent speaker? Probably not. Am I the most direct? Definitely not. You take a look at, here's a person really, this is how you know you're getting bad or getting good at it, depending. There was a comedian that died not too long ago, at least in my eyes, didn't die too long ago, by the name of George Carlin. Now, there was a man that had absolutely no filter. Okay. He said what was on his mind, what he thought, and if it upset people, so be it. I do my best not to upset people, but I will talk to people, whether they're little kids, 4 or 5 years old, capable of talking. I will talk to them the same way I talk to you, the same way I talk to the centurion I know in town here. Okay, 104 years old, he's still fully taking care of himself. Okay, granted, he uses a scooter to get around, but let's face it, he's 104. Can't imagine why he's having a little trouble with mobility. So from my standpoint, do I do my best to take care to help people out? Absolutely. But do I bother downgrading my speaking? No. I turn around and look at it, and it's the same I encourage you to do. Be honest, be direct. Okay, this idea of being politically correct has created a lot of problems and a lot of misunderstandings from what I've been borne witness to. And the real proof is in the pudding. I mentioned this just earlier today, that the negativity that is being propagated around the world, okay, is what is behind drying up the rivers, drying up the lakes, it's drying up the rain and what have you. It's throwing weather all over the place. This is not, in my opinion, from everything I've borne witness to, this is not just nature. This is mankind with its incessant fighting and bickering and finding ways to say, oh, I'm different than you. You're all different than each other. Okay, you all have similarities, and one of the biggest similarities you have is every one of you is going to die. Every one of you is a child, and every one of you is not taking your material stuff with you. Okay, there's 3 real big ones. Okay, focus on those instead of skin color, what you identify as. There was an individual I knew personally that identified God as a light bulb. Now, his parents knew that he had this and that he had this issue, and that it was a disaster waiting to happen. But they did what they could, and once a week they would change the light bulb. Well, this went on for over 2 decades, and every day this guy would go into the closet, and he would pray to this light bulb because it was always on. But after 2 decades-ish, they forgot to change the light bulb. And what ended up happening is he went in and he was praying to God. He was praying to the light bulb, and the light bulb burnt out. His mind snapped instantly, and he ended up put in a care facility because he just shut down totally. Now you can believe what you will. Okay, you absolutely can. I'm not the only one out there. I'm not saying what I say is absolutely perfect. There are flaws in everything. Okay. And there are pieces of information I'm missing. Now, there is no way I can sit here and go, this life that I'm living will work where you are. But I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were claiming now bear in mind, I was talking to them on the computer. Okay. Now, this doesn't make sense to me. They were claiming they were so poor, there were days they went without food. Okay. There were days they went without water. And I'm like, okay, but you're sitting here talking on a computer. There's something you're not saying. There's something that doesn't add up. If I'm going to say I don't have food, okay, then I'm getting rid of the stuff that is stopping me from getting it. Okay, but that's me. I will tell you, if you're overextended, you've got one of two choices where finances are concerned. You can either cut back on what you're spending, or you can cut back on what you're spending, or you can find a way to generate a higher income. It's that simple. It's not a question of, as many people say, cut back, cut back, cut back. There comes a point where you've got nothing to cut back. Good morning, angels of life. How are you doing this morning? The funny, that is very true. The negativity that people are generating combined with their actions is very simple. It's causing the problem. Now, if you think about it, okay, when you combine the energy that's being talked about, the energy and the negativity being talked about, the negative actions that are being propagated, you look at the state the world is in. Okay, and I'm not talking about all the wars. Okay, although that is a big part of it. Okay, I'm talking about the nature that we're dealing with, the droughts, the floods, the firestorms, these sorts of things. The disappearing lakes, the disappearing ice caps. These things are being amplified. They are natural, but they are being amplified by man's negativity, by man's greed, and quite frankly, the degradation they are propagating on each other. Okay, picture what would happen if people turn around and start actually putting the same effort into talking about the positive things. Okay, into focusing on what they are accomplishing. Like, I'm looking at my office behind me here. And like I said, that one little board up there that you can see right, and I can't get it pointed, right there. Okay. I'm going to take that neat little sign that says, I am worth it. I'm putting it up there as soon as I get off of this particular video, which I am getting down to the wind down point because I've been on here now for what? I've been on here now for an hour and 15 minutes. So I will be winding it down and bringing this to a close at 2 hours. I wasn't really expecting to be on here more than the half an hour, right? But as it turned out, I had somebody join me right off the bat. Malu got on the horn with me right away, and I always find it easier. Quite honestly, I find it easier to talk when I've got somebody to talk to, even when I don't have the interaction with them than I do if I'm just on my own. Okay, so I'm adapting to things as I go along. So from that standpoint, it does work out well for me to get up first thing in the morning and come online. Okay. It was suggested in the comments about Saturday. I may well end up moving my Saturday run. As a matter of fact, I think I already decided on that. Because Saturday morning, I've got an appointment and take my son over to his mom's place most Saturdays, drop him off, and I go for lunch. Right. Because frankly, I find that a great way for me to wind down. So I go for lunch. But the way that works is I'm usually home by 1:30. So without pushing myself, without really creating a problem, I am right now, and I will let you know as I get a little closer to it. But right now, it's looking like I will likely come online probably about 1:30. If I come online at 1:30, by 1:30 I'd be home, absolutely. But if I come on, so it'll be somewhere, and I haven't quite figured it out, somewhere between 1:30 and 2 o'clock that I'll be coming online on Saturday. I'm going to shift it over because the last couple of Saturdays, there's been very little in the way of anybody showing up, which I can understand. Okay, coming on at 8 o'clock in the morning, most people aren't even out of bed on the weekend until 9, I don't think. Now, yes, they will be online, but even the people in England on the other side of the world haven't been coming online, which means one of two things. Either I'm doing something completely wrong or touching on topics that people have no interest in, or the timing is wrong. Well, I can't do much about what people are interested in. If people, and this is why I've asked for if people have an idea of something they'd like to discuss, then absolutely drop me a line, let me know, and I will put it on the list. I'm redoing the list now as far as what to talk about and what to cover. Okay. But if you've got a topic like this idea of healing, okay, that we covered today, the reality is healing works. Now, I asked a priest one day, okay, I asked him point blank, and this was decades back. I says, okay, I understand the whole idea about praying to God and the whole 9 yards. I said, okay, now if somebody comes to you and asks for healing, if a commoner, if you will, comes to a priest, comes to a pastor, comes to a bishop, whatever you want to call him, a religious leader, and asks for healing, if that healer takes them in the church and sits down in the church and prays over them, are they healing using God's energy? Are they helping with the healing? Are they doing right? I say, is the priest doing right? The priest goes, absolutely, that is how you do it. It's okay. Now let me ask you this. If that same person comes to that same priest and asks for help, and they're on the doorstep of the church, and the priest does exactly the same thing, uses the exact same words, the same motions, the same whatever, okay, follows the exact same path, is this good? And the priest looks at me and goes, you're outside of God's house, therefore you're sinning. I'm like, okay, except for one little detail here. It's just something to think about. Okay, it's also said in the Bible, wherefore 2 or more are gathered in my name, there am I. Okay, and there's a lot of discrepancies, but the point being, every person has the ability to accelerate the healing in their own body, and it can be shared with other people. But it has to be done with a willing recipient. In other words, you're not going to make much headway trying to heal somebody that doesn't desire healing. It's very much the same issue that when you are striving to help somebody financially, giving them money if they don't know what they're doing with it, giving them money is not going to help. Okay, because it's going to continue going out the back door. They're going to spend it before they know what they're doing with it. And that's just the reality behind it. Now, I do appreciate your joining me, but from that, okay, let's try English on that one. I do appreciate you joining me. I will be back again tomorrow. Okay. But until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.